Yes, here we go. Welcome aboard the bus. It is Wednesday night. It is what you could call the WNF, but I think when it comes to all matter Celtic right now, you'll all agree with me. It's more WTF because what the fuck is happening, man? Honestly, we leave the bus for 12 days, Mark. 12 days since the last show, and if we thought it was bad, the last episode that we did, well, things have got a whole lot worse, in my personal opinion. And right now we're at a breaking point, I think, in terms of the football, in terms of a manager who doesn't want to be there anymore because he doesn't back the project that he signed up for, if you want to call it that. You've got a board who don't want the manager there, who don't like the fans. You've got the fans who don't want the board there and now beginning to turn on the manager, which ironically is the perfect storm for the board that neither the manager or the fans like. I'll give you my opening gambit on it. We'll do all that good stuff quickly, and that means gives a like, gives a share, slag the hair, all that stuff. Remember as well, Bhoycie Bus memberships, $1.99 a month, yada, yada, yada. Piesports.com, code BUS1888 for a tasty pastry treat. Anyway, enough of all that. Let's just get into it. And hit subscribe and hit the bell, all that, because we never know when we're going to be live these days, and we're expecting a busy one tonight. Make no bones about it. My frustrations right now very much lie with, if ever there was a time for Brendan to prove, a lot of the times that we've said it, and we're both guilty, Marc, on this, that we think he is the best in class Celtic could get. We think if there is going to be an elite level manager Celtic could get, there's only one really that was ever attainable. And if he is elite, then now was the time, if ever, to prove it. Now is the time to go against the grain, to, yes, be absolutely biling what has been, I think, a first window he took on the chin because he was just trying to be too nice and trying to say everything to everyone. And he allowed 9 players to come in, the famous 9 in a row Celtic did. It was actually the third one. It was 9 players in a row, which none of them were up to scratch up with. And he allowed that because he wasn't wanting to upset the apple cart. And the board, I think, were testing him there, if I'm honest with you. This is my theory anyway. I think the second window Brendan had, if we're trying to cast my mind back, who came in then? Who did we bring in the second window of Brendan's era? That would have been Ida on loan. Ida came in on loan, if you remember, on the last day, and Nicholas Kuhn. Both players have been sold by Celtic. Have been brought in by Celtic at a combined once they signed permanently. At that point, it was a loan and a permanent. Both have been sold by Celtic at a combined £23 million, circa. Something like that. We then had the summer where it was a summer of lateness, not greatness, from Celtic, where I think Brendan eventually got his targets, but we had the best pre-season I can remember Celtic showing up in, ever. We were over in America, the football looked good, and we looked ready for season 2 of the Champions League. And all we wanted, and all Brendan wanted, was the tweaks to his squad. And Celtic delayed. They didn't have qualifiers, remember, to wait, so that excuse can go out the window. But they brought in eventually the likes of Arnie Engels towards the end of that window. Celtic had their best Champions League campaign. Then in January, decided, well, whilst we're still in the Champions League, still with a fighting chance of making the last 16, we're going to go and sell what has been the top scorer of the club for the last 3 windows. So there's another window that was a window of calamity, if you want to call it that, because it was missing opportunities. This window was the one of necessity, Marc, because we had qualifiers for the first time in 4 years to get into the Champions League. But we had all the 3 years Champions League money banked. We had a net spend that was miles in profit in Brendan's reign so far, and we're on the back of our most successful Champions League campaign in many a long year. And we decided to absolutely abuse that window and go down the notion of, well, he won't upset the apple cart his first window, so by the time it comes to this one, because we don't think he's staying another year, we're not going to support him in that. And everything just sort of points, they're going to point the finger at the uncertainty of the manager extending his stay is why they didn't back him this summer. And I think as well, when you look to Brendan's first summer was, well, we had those plans in place and Brendan agreed to go along with it. all these windows have got excuses behind them, Mark, that have undermined the manager. But where the manager is fucked up big time, and two people can be to blame at the same time here, by the way. Where the manager's really let himself down was, this was his opportunity to show how good he was. And in the face of this adversity, whilst he's still getting paid the big bucks for this final year, whether it's only going to be 3 years or not, which we said in the bus, we thought his language was telling you he's only going to be here for 3 years. He had to go in the face of it and show how good he was with the little tools he was given over the summer. And he's failed, in my opinion, so far this season. We've been utterly dreadful. We have one of the most embarrassing out of the many Champions League failed qualification campaigns on record. We got probably our worst yet under Brendan. We cannot score a goal in first halves. I think there are 6 games already this season we haven't scored a goal at all, if not more than that. We are 5 points. We find ourselves behind Hearts in the league table right now. And that's on the manager as well. My frustration, of course, is I can see all the sums of all the parts that have brought us to this point. And it's not giving excuses to what we're seeing this season, as I've just made abundantly clear before anyone does. But I think right now we're going to enter into a whose camp are you in? Are you sack the board or are you sack Brendan? And everyone's going to eventually, as the board will be rubbing their hands out right now, go into sack Brendan because that affects results. And like I've always said to you, Mark, my biggest fear with Celtic supporters, and I suppose probably of any team, is see results, they mask over everything. See when results are bad, they mask over everything as well, but in a different way. So the board are going to end up being the ones who get off scot-free in this, albeit, I dare say the manager probably got a lot more latitude for failing to qualify for the Champions League, for example, than he normally would because the eyes were on the board then. But the eyes should be on everything all at once. Whilst we've always said keep your eyes on the board, that's when Celtic were flying. Now, your eyes are on the whole thing. And here's the clincher for me as well. My biggest hunch is why they won't get rid of a manager that I've already said at the top of the show I don't think they want. I think that's abundantly clear they don't want him. That's why they don't back him. Is it all still comes back to the same thing. They refuse to pay the money required that would mean compensation package for Brendan to be sent up down the road earlier than the release date of his contract, which is a complete dereliction of their duty as well. And if that is the reason, which I think can be the only one, why they're not parting company with him, then that still takes you full circle back to their absolute conservative approach to spending that's hampering the football side of things at Celtic. I've rambled on. On you go, Matt. The floor is yours probably for the next half hour, I think, anyway, I'm done.
No. I get your frustration, mate. No wonder you deserve a rant. It's been a while since I've been on. But no, listen, I don't think there's anybody in the fan base that can disagree with much of what you're saying, mate. I think we've got a team that, do you know, I don't like to kid on my clairvoyant voice, but I've been saying Hatati's been pushed for 2 years. Now all of a sudden it's become okay to say he's been pushed. That's the same form he was showing last year when we were playing well. He's just not getting carried off anybody anymore. I think Carl McGregor was finished about a year ago. I noticed Carter Vickers was finished maybe about March or February. I noticed Schmeichel was finished at the turn of the year when he tried to fling as many goals in the back of the net as possible against Rangers. It goes on. What's happened is we've got a squad now that nobody's. I thought last year Kuhn and Maeda carried that full team. Take away their 2 goals, we probably don't win that league. That is how poor we were. Goals throughout the full squad. We were very, very. I mean, I read somewhere that they two alone was something like 60 goals or something, or 60 goals and assists. You know what I mean?
Between Maeda and Nicholas Kuhn alone was 36 goals and assists. And Maeda was 36 goals.
There you go. So
you're talking about, I think you're talking about a 90 goal contribution between the two, mate.
Probably, mate. So, I mean, Celtic probably scored 120, 120 goals, let's be honest. So, I do believe that there's nobody to carry now. T.N.F played well for about a game and a half. I think he's probably levelled it. Like the COVID season, anybody who seemed to play well for a couple of games just soon became like everybody else in the park and just faded away. And I've seen it all over the place. I don't think as a squad member, I don't mean a team player, I think as a squad member that would get into a good Celtic team just now. I think Kieran Tierney looks like new seeing him looks like a bad signing. I think Kasper Schmeichel looks like a player who shouldn't be wearing a Celtic strip. He should be in the stands. He looks overweight. Sinisalo should be coming in. Our two centre backs, Carter Vickers, how he's still at the club, I think it's to do with fitness, but I don't think he deserves a starting place. How Dane Murray can get a game in front of that guy, I don't know. I mean, Scales. I mean, I listened to a podcast earlier on, and all they did was slag Scales and Ralston, and I thought to myself, there's only been one fucking defender this season that's played worth their wages, and it's been fucking Liam Scales. Carter Vickers, own goals left, right, and centre, leaving his man left, right, and centre, clumsy tackles. He's actually the most boring Celtic player I've ever seen in my life to watch. He would slow down a penalty kick. That is how detrimental he is to Celtic when we're attacking. I think if he got a penalty kick, he'd pass. Park with a Celtic strip on. He looks lazy. He looks like he doesn't want to be there.
Your signal just went a wee bit there, Mark. Go say that again for us, mate.
I don't know where I went to.
Just about the player. Just about the player you were referring to.
That's supposed to get fixed in October the 14th there, and the guy said, I'm at your door, and I said, no, you're no. He's like, I'm at 60, such and such. I said, well, I moved out like it was 3 years ago. So that's the luck I've got. Even though they posted the cables that's supposed to be getting into my new box, they posted them to my door 3 weeks ago. So I was like, how the fuck did you?
That, eh?
Aye, I went, and I would I say he's actually on the pod that my broadband was acting funny, and then some third party, CityLink or something like that, City Fibre, working on behalf of this guy, have now offered me free fibre upgrade. It's funny, I knew that was going to happen, Bhoycie. They slowed down your internet, so you want the upgrade. It's a lot of shit. Anyway, but I will get it fixed, guys, I promise. No, I was just talking about Carter Vickers, mate, to be honest with you. Like, so I'm just fed up watching Carter Vickers walk to the football, Bhoycie. He slows down the play.
Yeah.
It would literally, as I said, I think, pass it backwards for a penalty kick. That is how detrimental he is to the Celtic attack just now. Anytime he's on the ball, Bhoycie, I'm just tearing my head out. He just walks. He's cumbersome. He's lazy. He's probably a player that's been asking for a move for a while now, and nobody's willing to even give him he's not going to pass a medical, Bhoycie. That is Josef Morovic written all in it, except he ran out of contracts. Carter Vickers will probably retire at Celtic. You know what I mean? And I'm fed up watching Callum McGregor. I just can't watch him anymore, Bhoycie. I can't watch him. I mean, people call Peter Grant the pointer, but all he does is point and pretend he's going to see that big pretend tackle he does, where he pretend tackles and guys just nipping in front of him, take the ball, or he does a reshuffle like he's going to tackle somebody. I mean, and honestly, he's not a good season for a couple of seasons now, and I think he got a couple of goals last year. That totally masked his performance. It's fucking Apple, man. See, don't buy Apple stuff, it's shite.
Yep.
I think they masked his performance as Carter Vickers, Callum McGregor's his goals last season, and I don't think throughout the squad we've got another two players that can fit in that. No, I don't think Bernardo's the answer. I don't think McCowan's the answer. I don't think Nygren's the answer. I don't think Engels is the answer to any question. And then the front three, boys, we could be there all day. I still, out of them all, I still have a wee bit of excitement about what Iheanacho can do for us. Tedeschi, I think he's been found out very quickly that he's Mikey Johnson, but with a foreign name, to be honest with you. He caused that goal the other day there, all he could do. I mean, that was his fault. That's
It's quite clever. No, I hear you, mate. No, I hear you.
I was watching him, and if that boy had him on toast, a Dundee player had him on toast the other day there, and the guy played with a cigar in his mouth, and I thought, what did you cost? £5-6 million international for another for Tunisia, whatever it is, or whatever he's getting for. He just looks like another turn up, mate. To be honest, Balikwisha, I heard folk talk about him. He is the most Rangers player who doesn't get a game you'll ever see. A wee skinny guy that you'll see him for 3-4 weeks, and you won't see the guy till he leaves the club 3 years later. That's the kind of players Rangers buy. He's the identical Rangers 2016 to 2025 player. He would fit into that mould. The wingers who you barely recognise him if you're an opposition fan. You don't even know what he gives if you're one of the fans of his team. He just looks like a guy who's just in the wrong movie. He's utter gash and all. I've not got any positives to say about this squad whatsoever. I said that a long time ago, Bhoycie, before it became vogue to say it. This team is nowhere near the level of Ronnie Dyer's team. Nowhere near. They couldn't beat a team with a young Kieran Tierney and Izagirre,
Scott Brown,
Scott Brown, James Forrest at his peak with Patrick Roberts behind him.
Andy
You know what I
Roberts.
mean? You get Arthur Johnson, Stefan Johansson in midfield. You know what I mean? Griffiths, Tom Roderick. You know what I mean? Fucking Michael Lustig, Simonovic. I could even Sviatchenko. Even these guys. I mean, this Celtic squad back then was the worst we'd seen in a few years at Celtic as Celtic fans. It was COVID. It was partner years for Rangers. We just had to show up and win, Bhoycie.
Yeah.
That squad is so much more depth and quality than this squad. And ironically, I think the next manager they hire is going to be the ilk of a Ronnie Dyer, because now we're in a situation where coefficient that Celtic have always had two things in their favour when they're trying to haggle for a manager: the promise of European football and the fact to manage one of the biggest clubs in Europe. New Celtic.
Remind people of, like you did about a couple of months ago, Mark. I think it went under the radar at the time. We were probably being accused of being doom merchants at that point. Go just remind people of what the actual methodology, whatever it is, the method is for Celtic to actually participate. Methodology is for Celtic to actually participate in European football, albeit if they win the league this year. Let's just go with that. Let's see Celtic still turn this around and win the league, which I'm nowhere near as comfortable or confident saying as what I normally am. But give us a wee breakdown as to what it is that Celtic's European future looks like, even if they were to lift the SPFL trophy this season.
So I think luckily, thanks to Rangers, of course, there's no lie about it. This year's probably the last year, but I think we'll have 3 qualifiers for the Champions League this year if we win. Next year, I think it's the full course. I think it's 3 qualifiers and a playoff. If you finish second, you'll have 3 qualifiers for the Conference League. The Conference League, and even 3 qualifiers for Europa. 3 for the Conference League.
Are this the end of this season?
No, that'll be the end of next season.
Right.
So this season after that, I'm pretty sure this will be the last year of a no bad situation where we've only got like 2 or 3 qualifiers. Right, still manageable for Celtic, but no a playoff. It'll be pretty bad, a pretty tough road. If we even get to that stage, I personally don't think. I think if Rangers have, I think that the new Rangers manager's only got to get 5-10% more out of these players, and he'll catch Celtic by the end of November. That's my genuine opinion on it. I think I look at our games and I can see us. I don't see goals anymore. I see a defence that's got holes over it, and I don't see a team that's even capable of getting through the bad times just now. I said last month that this has been an exercise. So Celtic just getting through to January. Just make it to January in touching distance with the league title. But even now, I'm even thinking. I mean, I just mentioned about the manager there. Like, our biggest selling point, as I was going to say, was the fact that we're European football and the fact that we're a big club in Europe. I don't think we're a big club in Europe anymore, boys. I don't think anybody takes it seriously when it comes to European pedigree.
No, me neither.
And I don't think. And now we're in a situation now where there'll be seasons, maybe 2-3 in a row, boys, where Celtic don't have any European football whatsoever. 0, none. That is a a very, very, very firm possibility that can happen. If you free qualifiers for the Conference League, you're out. Draw a Parma, draw a Fiorentina, draw a Chelsea, draw a West Ham. You're out. You know what I mean? In the qualifiers,
Yeah.
boys. I mean, and that could
Let's
happen. So I don't think we could attract. I don't think we could attract even an Ange Postecoglou now. I think we're going down the road where very, very, very soon that you'll see Celtic own £5,000-10,000 a week players and managers who have probably got 1, 2, 3 years experience in the Norwegian league, guys who are maybe cutting their teeth in the League One in England, who's maybe looking for an upgrading club. I don't think we can be. I don't think we are going to be in a financial situation sustainably that we can attract managers and pay them £2 million a year, or even be in a situation where we can pay players 20 grand a week anymore. See, the money in the bank, the world told us that they can't spend it, and they won't spend it. So that'll be kept just for keeping Celtic the hope to be that 1-2% better than Hearts and Rangers. Because Hearts, I think you're smoking a real potent something if you think Hearts are going to win league this year. I mean, it's 7 games in, 8 games in. They might beat us on Sunday, right? But Rangers will catch them. Celtic might get their act together. I mean, Aberdeen were into the end of November, end of October, end of November last year, before they even blinked. They've already been put out of the cup after St Mirren. Hibs beat them out of the park in a derby match, and they got a last-minute winner that they deserve. And I think there's been a few occasions like that. They'll be found out very, very soon. Might not be Celtic the weekend. I don't know if it will be, but they'll be fun. I mean, they're at Ibrox a couple of weeks ago against a really bad Rangers team, and then they got a dodgy goal with a home ball. Rangers got a goal chopped off and a penalty kick they should have got, and then the penalty kick they got was a bit dodgy and all. So I think it's when they done Rangers left, right, and centre. I don't take them that seriously, Bhoycie, but I don't. If I was a betting man, at a free bet, I would not put somebody else's money on Celtic this season. I think there's more chance the Rangers win that, possibly with Hearts close by them. I don't see us with this team. Genuinely, I don't care if it gets clipped. I don't see a Celtic team getting anywhere near the top 2. But this team, genuinely, I don't think they would.
So, a lot to go through, Matt, and I want to go back to what you were talking about right at the beginning, because you've rounded it off quite nicely by mentioning the quality of the team again, because that was kind of the opening gambit. Oh, you're fine. Now, when it comes to the players in the squad, see when you go scattergun. I'm not saying you're doing it to be scattergun. You went through almost the whole thing, right? I find it almost impossible for them all to be shite players all round, right? I think right now there's an argument to be made that if there was a change at managerial level, you see a different level of performance from some of these players, and there'll be a few surprise packages, I think, in the midst of that. I've been, obviously very much Team Brendan, but you can't defend what I'm watching right now. And if I were Celtic, I would make the move now to get rid. You just wonder if the board are too feared to do it, too feared to be decisive. This is why they're the wrong folk in the night. Everything goes back to them. Say that again.
Would you sack him just now?
Yeah. Yes.
Would you?
Yes, I think, and I'll tell you how I'd base it as well. There's actually other records I've not got to hand about this calendar year, Mark. I think his win rate.
I think his win rate out of 29.
It's 50. I think I think we've got a win rate of 55%.
No, he's won 13 out of 29.
That's it.
That's like 45% more.
No, the starting team was 55%. If that's the case, then we're not going for 55. But but the point I'm trying to make is you would base it over that sort of calendar year and go, look, there's been too much of a dip. There's been too much of a dip. And what's frustrating is, of course, as well, which I should have said in the opening thing as well, was 2024 was a record-breaking year for Celtic. Most amount of goals scored in the calendar year. Like, this was all there to be built on. And the gift that the Celtic board have is they can bite the bullet now and go, see, trust us, don't trust the rat. Yeah? But I think they're too cowardly now to make a big decision And the reasons that they'll be now lining up to use for not doing it, and I believe it's because they don't want to do a one-off payoff, right? There's been some questions from Mr. A saying, well, is it not the same thing? They just pay his contract up early. I still think that with regards to that payoff, they don't want to do that. I still think that would mean there's probably bonuses involved and stuff that if you get sacked, that you get all included in your. There'll be perks to getting sacked, if you know what I mean. That's how it works these days. Hence why managers never resign, ever, regardless whether on a rolling contract, a year to go, the lot. You never see a manager any industry, any league in football. They never ever resign now. You wait till you're sacked. So there's definitely benefits to the manager not resigning. What they are, we're not privy to, but believe me, there is, and their deficit Celtic. But the board would almost now have this amazing scenario where they say, "Well, we were scared to sack the manager because you all turned so nasty on us, and we didn't want to cause further uproar off the field." And I suppose there's an argument for it. Who the fuck do you trust them to then go picking up a replacement? You know they're just phoning on straight away. Because all they do is go back in time. They have a black book, a surprise name gets added to it, like Ange Postecoglou in the first place, and they go back to it. They'd be smart though, because I guarantee you that the sack the bold stuff quietens if Ange Postecoglou comes back.
Oh, they'd be selling the books. That Ange,
and that's where this is where folk are. And I think he would do it, by the way. I think he would come back, by the way. I know there's others thinking.
MD thinks we've got a manager, Ange Postecoglou, who we all know that will not change. If you put a gun in his head, it would still no change, right? Do you want to see him with Kieran Tierney, who takes 3 touches to control the ball? Maybe Ralston, Carter Vickers.
Carter Vickers walking about playing handball, walking football.
Can you imagine him playing the ball at the back, boys? Don't get me wrong, it'd be like maybe exciting because you'd have a heart attack every couple of minutes. But if anybody thinks he would improve, I mean, Cal McGregor, who's maybe 10 yards after pace, McGregor used to slow in and come and accept the ball after guys like what do you call him? The big Swedish boy, I forget his name now. He's like mush. The big Swedish boy, the big centre back. Anyway, Greg Taylor and him used to.
Nelby.
Who? No, the boy we had under Ange.
Oh, under Ange.
Big cement feet.
Svirchenko. No.
No. Fuck's sake, I can't remember.
Oh, he didn't have big hair. I thought you were saying like big hair. No. Oh, fuck off. The left-footed one.
He was fucking terrible. I think he ended up. Anyway, let's sort of go. Anyway.
We know that one. Starfelt,
aye. They used to come and collect the ball after these guys and then make an angle for Greg Taylor to move forward and all the rest of it. I mean, fucking Cal McGregor can't hardly even do his own job now. I mean, slot in and cover left backs and slot in and be accepting the ball and go in the half turn. I mean, that midfield is just diabolical. So they're the one.
But can we get a better team with a better manager?
Bhoycie,
is there a better manager or just maybe a different manager?
I don't think that Klopp could make his team better. I don't. I think his team
is there another debate then that with Rodgers throughout his career, he is a 2-season, and by the way, a lot of the managers in the modern day are. So this isn't just at him. They're two candans, you could call them. 2 seasons, 3rd season, it just that impact they have really catches a bit of fire 1st season. 2nd season, you see the end result of their works. 3rd season, failed to inspire the same group as much, and I think there's a lot of managers out there. In fact, the aforementioned Ange Postecoglou, I happen to think it was when you look at his 2nd season at Celtic, and folk tell the real truth, and they fucking stop the fairy tales, the lies that they've got in their head. The last 3 months of that were guff. That Celtic Thistle Scottish Cup final and that. Folk have forgotten how shite we were by then. Remember me and Terry coming on doing post-match shows going, I know at least we're winning games and that, but it was like 1-1, 2-0. It was fucking tough. Like, it was just, what do you want to say? Like, we had nowhere to go almost. And I think that his cycle came to an end. He won his treble that second season. But I think the peak of his works were probably the end of his first season, first half of his second season. That's where you've seen it. And I think there's a lot of managers now. You need to accept head coaches, not club football managers. The head coaches. And these coaches come in, they inspire a group of prima donna footballers now that think they're more entitled to than what they are. They think football only began when they started watching it and they started playing it. They don't really give a fuck about who it is they're representing. They only represent themselves. And these guys have the attention span of a TikTok scroller. 10-second videos. 18-month spells as a manager, on at the next one. They're just scrolling past again because they need that different voice, that different perception, that different sort of energy to watch. And I think Rodgers is just stale now.
Is it stale, but Bhoycie, or is it? I think most managers get a job because the previous one's been sacked. Most times it has been the case. So they come in the first season, they'll get a chance to build a team, or the Rodgers didn't. That team will be slowly built. You'll see the benefits of that team, whether it's successful or no, the following season with 12, 14 months together, with a few add-ons, then that team will begin to click and flourish. Get into the third season, by nature, by natural career paths, your best players will move on. The ones that will probably come in won't be of the same standard in what the club allowed you to do in your first window. And I think that the regression starts almost instantly in season 3.
Do you think it's a Celtic thing?
No, I think that's a football thing. You look at Pep Guardiola. I don't really watch English football, but I know who wins the league and things like that. You'll get 3 in a row. You lose it for a season or two, then you've got another 2 or 3. And I think what happens is they'll build a team. They'll be winning. There'll be still enough in the tank to win the league when they're building. The following season, the best teams will not only have the benefit of 12 months of training and togetherness, they'll have the benefit of building to the next level of player. And then the really good teams like Man City, they'll get that third title because see the first 2 seasons, again, they'll not lose their best players. They've got the ability to keep them. Mm-hmm. But even within that third season, the level of player, their fighting, their attention for play, their willingness to run the hard yards start to dissipate. You know what I mean? It becomes nature for them just to win games and all the rest of it. And at the same time, everybody else is looking at these teams and getting closer and closer and closer. Whereas they think just doing enough and winning is okay because at the end of the day, they're still winning. But the reality of it is if you just strip it back, there's teams getting closer to you and closer to you who are only maybe 5-10% away from catching you. That happened to Celtic in the COVID season, where we looked like a team, we won a treble. There was signs that Celtic were beginning to win a bit in certain areas, like Scott Brown and things like that. And there was areas like Griffiths and Edouard that looked amazing. There was signs in the defence that looked like we were struggling. I mean, and we were due to lose good players. And behind us, teams were just getting closer and closer and closer. I mean, don't forget that season. Scott Brown won the league at Rugby Park. That was February or March. That was February. That was like or March, something like that.
March, I think.
Aye, so that was late on, and we were still getting Kilmarnock. Were still chasing us at that point. That was Kilmarnock with a serious fucking at the point.
Steve
like
Clark.
Hearts. Aye, they were a conversation Hearts at the time. I mean, Kilmarnock, sorry.
Yeah.
Like Hearts just knew it's the same guff we're going to hear. I mean, Khalid shining and sliding it. But so I think what happens is there's a natural cycle of football managers. It's like anything, you start a new job, Bhoycie, and your keenness, you're going to bring a freshness and everything. It's positive. But see, after a while, Bhoycie, like they start to, it just becomes normal for you to, you know what I mean? And the standards start, and that's what happens in football. It's the same thing.
Is the Celtic Rangers thing, Now, I don't include Rangers in it because they've just seen them change manager after fucking it was 100 days or whatever. Is the thing like it's just about winning here? I think we're almost making it an impossible game of chess for managers to actually formulate at the club as well. I think Celtic haven't helped the managers for at board level. I genuinely think there was a glass ceiling created by the board, right? And I think the board have decided to make that glass ceiling a lot lower than what we would like to see it at within the terms of realism. But see, when I flip it, there's other sides to this. Now, I promise you, there's a comment, in fact, in here. I think that was just one of our regular. Look, Raymond Dog. Now, has anyone enjoyed watching a Rodgers team this time around, i.e., second spell? It's like watching paint dry. And
yes. Well, last season there was folks saying it's the best football they've seen in decades. Let's no rewrite history.
This is the mad thing, because this is the mad thing. This is the mad thing. So I'm going, they scored a record amount of goals, Celtic having a calendar year. We lost the least amount of games we've ever lost in a calendar year as well. We lost 2 games out, was it 52? And we lost 2 of them. And that included, trophy lifts, etc. So I struggle. And then it becomes down to, you're at other clubs, you're going, right, is it win at all costs? Then you're winning at all costs and it becomes a style of play. And the style of play isn't good enough, but you're winning. Then when you're not doing the winning bit, it's we don't care about style of play, we just want to win. And I think it does become a bit like, I think football's leaving all that behind a wee bit. I think see if we're winning, then shut your mouth and like it. That is the honest truth. See if there's a Celtic side winning, mate, and they keep winning. Be careful what you wish for when you want to go down the road of, well, I've got an ideology for Celtic, the Celtic way it's called. Well, I think the Celtic way is winning. It's winning things. And it's competing on more fronts than I think we actually give ourselves the best chance of doing at both level. But in terms of the football, it's going to be about winning. And I feel like when I listened to a lot more analysis English game that I did for years over the past few years, as I've mentioned to the show many a time, like at my work, I've always got to talk sport on between sort of 10 and 1. So that kind of keeps me in the loop with what's happening. And they've said recently about there's been a big change, Mark, in the style of football down there. The amount of time teams are taking to do throw-ins, for example, 25 seconds because they're trying to get big launched balls. The amount of long balls getting played has jumped up a huge percentage by teams. They're now beginning to combat what the ideologies were before by going, well, how did you beat that ideology? You beat it by doing something different. And it used to be styles make fights. Everyone went for the same style across the whole football universe all at the same time. And for me, it gave me the ick, to be honest with you, because I loved the fact when we were in Europe, for example, we played brilliant football domestically under Marc O'Neill. Don't forget that. Lubomir Moravcik doesn't trap the ball in his arse and do the crosses with the left, the right foot. Still, Petrov doesn't do double figures, box-to-box midfielder every year. Plus, the goals, the setups by Sutton and Hartsfield for Henrik, all that domestically if we were playing dull football. But see, in Europe, we could be dull, if you want to call it dull. Who are they? Fucking give the ball to Bobo, give it to me, Albie. Get it up there. Sutton, get your elbows, stand these toes, and win that fucking ball. Knock it down and see if it doesn't look pretty. Nobody cares. And I think football has become so ideology-based. I'm hoping from what I'm hearing, I don't watch loads of English football, but I've got me at the ground with it because I watched the listen to that radio show and those stats that are getting said, that there's maybe a change in that and people are beginning to realise, well, if you're going to put a manager under hundreds of pressure, at least if he's providing 3 points, go give him a day off. Give him a break. Do you know what I mean? Lay off it a wee bit. I think that's what we need to get back to is, are we winning games? Are we competing to the best of our abilities? And I think, like you've always said, the European stuff you'll give a pass to when you know that's all on the fucking board. And you know deep down you go, well, you don't tool up for Europe, so you're not going to do well in Europe. Until you tool up for Europe, then we can have a more critical eye at management level and squad level in Europe. But see, when we do make strides in it, don't then fucking pull the rug. If we make strides in it last year, we pulled the rug. But I just wonder if that makes the gigs at the likes of Celtic more of a poison chalice too, because as I say, it's great to have you on the bus, Raymond, and you've been watching this for a long, long time. But when the numbers we just crunched there, it just doesn't add up, Mark, with this being a Rodgers. Do you think it does, or
no? Because I must admit, probably the most exciting European performance I've seen, probably in a long, long time, including some of the stuff we saw 10, 15 years ago, was the Leipzig game at home last year. The performance that night was unreal. I remember one of the Leipzig players saying, like, we were trying to play the ball about, and like, there's just sometimes there's nothing you can do. When a team plays like that, there's nothing you can do. That's how exciting we were. We got a goal, a beautiful goal with O'Reilly and Hatate just pressing and all the rest of it. Not really Hatate, it was Hatate and Kuhn, pressing the right back, and it was a beautiful bit of football. And that game was such an exciting watch for a Celtic fan. But even out with that, I mean, that's a barometer of Europe, of course it is. But even out with that, we were doing what we were supposed to be doing in Scotland. We were beating teams left, right, and centre.
And then some.
And there's some. And I think, Bhoycie, it's like, see if you've got a tag in life, it's so hard to shake it. Rodgers football is boring. I think people base that on Rodgers' third season at Celtic the last time and some of his second season. But and I think they're dying to get it to him now. And I think I'm seeing the rat comments again, and I'm seeing there's a wee barometer I've seen on somebody's page. It was like just pointing towards the rat, and this is the same guy who had the sunglasses on, cigar in his mouth, and we're beating Rangers at Ibrox, and we're beating Rangers left, right, and centre. All of a sudden, we went. We played 5 games last season.
Outscores Postecoglou, the best band of football you've ever seen. Outscores them.
I think
boring.
It's like I totally think it's fine for likes of you to say, look, press a button now, because at least you're want to sit down and have a debate, and you're trying to key reasons why. You wouldn't go out, Marc, he's a fucking rat. Look at this, point to things and point. I
think he's just expired, Marc. It's expired.
So let's be right real here. 2 of these biggest issues, I don't think he can actually help. I think one of his biggest issue is his captain's totally finished. You drop your captain in the midst of all this turmoil, Bhoycie, it could get a whole lot worse, right? You drop was supposed to be your number one keeper, and you lose against Dundee. Points, fingers start pointing. So I can see reasons for and against. I don't want to see McGregor. I think he should have been dropped for Celtic a long time ago. But I can see him having a conversation with Brendan Rodgers and him saying to me, Celtic are in a bit of a shit show just now. The fans hate me. The fans hate the board. The fans hate each other. We all hate each other. The players and the managers got a disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
Me dropping my captain is the last thing I need to do just now. I understand that. You don't sack your best barman in a Saturday night, Bhoycie, because he's having a rough time. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, so I can understand, but part of his problem is, I think, is first of all, he's not got anybody to replace him. Let's be truthful in that matter. But he has to make decisions that I think he doesn't have to make. Like, I think Schmeichel can be dropped a long time ago. I think Sirachi deserves a start.
Yang starting, mate.
Yang start, I think.
See, putting that in, I'm sorry, that doesn't. Like, that's wrong, mate.
That I agree 100%. But I had this conversation a couple of weeks ago before the Karat a second leg, and I was talking to the big guy next to me, and he said to me, I can't believe I'm saying this to you, Marc, but we are dropping James Forrest because we're resting him for Europe. I was like, I know I can't believe you said that as well, but you're right. He dropped James Forrest because he's resting him for Europe. This game is game number 3.
Tomorrow.
I think it will. Boys, this is game number 3. If he loses that match, we're out of Europe. I think that's probably the realistic way that Rodgers will see it. Well, I was that match. I've lost two home guys, 2 home games. I've got 2 left. I've still got Feyenoord and Roma to play. There's probably a chance I'm not going to get. I think it's 11 points to get through that. Statistically, he's looked at that and gone like that. So if I'm sitting around Brendan Rodgers and I'm looking at the bigger picture and how Celtic fans supposedly want to see us play in Europe and supposedly want to progress, I think the bigger picture just now is the league, to be honest with you. But I can see him thinking it's Dundee. Yang should be good enough. Kieran Tierney's on the other side with T.N.F, who was playing well before the break. They two should combine well enough. We've got an international striker. He should be enough. We've got a brilliant Barcelona captain, and we've got a defence that should be able to cope with Dundee, who can't score goals either. I can see him going like pre-match, like there's probably enough here. I don't really need to make these changes, so I can forgive him for no playing. I mean, and another thing I heard somebody saying about Donovan. Let's get one thing totally right here. Donovan's best performances were when he came on against Karate Mighty, with Celtic were up against nobody. They weren't even attacking us anymore. They come on in extra time, and a couple of games against lower league opposition, right? And then he played one half of European football. I think he gave away 4 chances in the first 5 minutes or something. I read something stupid like that. He gave away.
The manager sees it from your point of view too. I think that's abundantly clear.
And I think, Bhoycie, in fact, if you're dropped at half time in a European game with Europe's eyes on you, trust me, as a manager admitting he's got his team right. You know what I mean? Trust me. He should have played. Some people don't like him, some people do. But you play a guy who's played 150 games for Celtic, played against Neymar, played the Champions League, won trebles, won doubles. You play him right at Ralston before you play a guy whose stats, by the way, were better than the £500 million Josip Juranovic's stats. His best season was worse than Ralston's fucking worst season. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Is that where the scattergun stuff though, like we were talking about earlier? That's a great example of it, where it's like even Ralston starting now. It should be common sense to a lot of people. Even that's now, guys. It's now under the microscope, though, mate.
If we lose on Saturday, boys, if we lost on Sunday, Bhoycie, you could potentially say to me, Mark, why are you playing a 19-year-old who's get fucked after 45 minutes against a really poor team in Europe? Caused four goal opportunity, four chance opportunities in the first 5 minutes of his European debut, and then you've got a left back who, as I say, needs 3 touches to control the ball. Calm, you could gripe for that team, and I could say,
yeah, well, we have.
I can see why the Rodgers.
Yeah.
See if Sinisalo aside, Bhoycie, there's not one second choice player that you could say, bring him in. Get him in.
I differ on the Ingles one, but I always have, and I see more of a player than others do. And that's of course it is. It's different to opinion.
I think we can back Rodgers. I think Rodgers has made his mind up about Ingles, because
I don't get that though. This is my criticism of him, mate. It's needing an upgrade. Being an upgrade this year on what Ingles provided us with last year.
No.
You see, impossible for that to be true. Because Ingles started 7 out the 8. I think it was 7 out the 8 group stage Champions League games. He was a cogmate in a wheel that provided points at elite level, not even SPL level. I remember even through Christmas, again, we were supposedly under the cosh, dips in form and stuff. Yes, we got beat at Ibrox, but other than that, we swept. I went 3-4-0 over the Christmas period. He was man of the match in all of them. And that was crucial to winning that league.
Did you see similarities between Celtic and Rangers just now?
Yeah.
Rangers the last 5-10 years. You had a captain who was coming out post-match and just talking drivel and no really giving us anything to be excited about. That's I read that every second. That's Callum McGregor.
Of course, sorry.
That's Callum McGregor. That's James Tavernier, right? You've got Nygren, who equalises against Motherwell at Celtic Park. Instead of grabbing the ball and running to the halfway line, he's running telling the fans to celebrate. He's giving it this, he's giving it that. And then
I think with the ears thing was a dig. That was a dig.
And you've got Iheanacho, who I do like. We've been dropping points when he's been playing, and he's been posting photos of himself on Instagram, like I picture him trying to run for the ball like that, as if Celtic don't do that. That's the sort of thing you see. That's like Cantwell would do. See, Cantwell would do that. You know,
is it the modern player though?
I think it is, but the point I'm trying to get to is as a couple of players who just don't get what Celtic is, Bhoycie. And you saw Schmeichel the other day there, and it's the best thing that's ever happened. I think, best thing that's happened for a while. See, when he shook his head at Celtic fans, I went bang. There's a moment that the sycophant Celtic fans, the cheerleaders, the ones who are offer, just the name rather than the player, they'll turn now. So he's finished. And as a Celtic fans, he's finished. He's
definitely. He's getting scrutinised at every goal. Yeah.
He's not getting kudos anymore,
Yeah.
boys. He's not getting kudos anymore.
Yes.
He's not getting the name anymore. And now he's not getting the backing of the fans. If he plays in Thursday night, I think you're then in a situation where Rodgers is starting to just play players just to spite the fans. Because I think that's
Yang,
and I think
I felt like that with Yang, mate, if I'm honest. I know you're saying you've got to have wingers there that have got enough quality to play ballot with you. He's surely got enough quality to go, you're playing off the right, cut inside B. See if Greg Taylor could be a reinvented fullback. You be a reinvented winger of the day, like Paddy Roberts used to do it off the right. Cut it in your left and curl one of the top bins. Go, if that's what, like, there is ways and means to get better players in that park at your living than playing Yang. Yang's numbers don't add up, and I think that was definitely one of those. I think there's almost too much of this. So hard. See, my hands are tied. Anyway, we'll move on because we are already nearly in the fucking push.
We're talking about the protest there. I want to talk about
yes,
that.
Let's get into it, mate. Yeah, no, definitely, mate. We've got plenty to go through. So see when it comes to off the field stuff, which normally dominates the conversation when it's myself and the judge on, guys. So it's been actually quite refreshing to talk the football for 50 odd minutes now. But
even though it's shite.
Of course, whilst that's all been happening, plenty has went on off the field as well. Couple of things. There was a debate between the wee fella and Tino, Paul John and Tino. They must have shared a podcast or something. I'll be honest, I seen a clip on Twitter, that was it. But funnily enough, they were talking about the need for leadership on it. Again, do they watch the bus or do people watch the bus? And because I think we were the only ones saying, we were the only ones, mate, saying, like, trust me on this. No one else, to my mind, I've not seen a tweet or anything before. We discussed that you need to whittle this down to having a bona fide leader. Well, I don't see that in Twitter. I don't watch all the pods, admittedly. But you'd see it in Twitter if it's came for like if people have been discussing it. It's not been a discussion point. Suddenly you've got them two there talking about leadership. And I'll be honest, I think the way Paul John handles himself in Skag, and I've seen him against, I mean, a brutal owner, the owner of Peterborough, Dara McAntony, which is like, I don't know whether his names are the wrong way round as well. It's like both of them, Paul John and Dara McAntony. It should be Anthony McDara. Anyway, I'm like, that guy is robust in how he talks. And Paul, with facts, calmness, but absolute cutting edge to what he was saying, took him to school, no problem. Held his own, and I thought represented what we were trying to say really, really well. I have made examples on this. I have made examples about where I see, sort of attitudes on this bait and shift as and as I say, but people couldn't believe me in the chat that he'd used the words. It was an olive branch, the meeting. So he'll go with the flow too much. I think Paul's got the strength of mind to go one way, albeit as a compromise as he can make. Yes, there is. But first and foremost, Mark, before we get to the protest itself, do you agree, and it doesn't matter whether you agree it should be him, if there's another candidate and whoever the best in class is to be the leader of a fans collective, do you think there should be one, first and foremost? Because the more I look back at 21 in a meeting, 21, the egos, as we said 2 weeks ago on this channel, have to be dropped eventually. There has to be an acceptance that what is getting fed back to you by the people who attend, if it's only one person or say 3 people, you're going to trust implicitly, and you can feed back to your associations then. There is no need for 21 different reps at a meeting. And for me, it muddied the waters. It made it so easy for the headmasters, i.e. the Celtic board, and they were ready. Proper conversations go fluidly, and they go looking someone in the eyeballs, and they lead to follow-up questions. And that might mean things sort of go in different directions in the said conversation, but it means you get far, far more fruit or meat out the bone, or meat off the bone, than what you normally do. See if it's this like, oh, have you spoke yet? And by the way, not everyone's a natural speaker. So see the busier that room is, the more. Peter or Michael, my name's People get like that, and that's a natural thing, by the way. But there's too big an audience. You're wanting these to be real fucking nitty-gritty conversations. For me, that leads to, yeah, I'm going to need to start getting together the fans collective, have an onus on them that those other associations that demanded to be represented or wouldn't relinquish their representation at it, get your heads all together and start deciding a group of 3 or a group of 1 to be the next attendee to whatever next olive branch is levelled out by Celtic, because that shit show stopped you in your tracks with the protest you originally had, which I think inadvertently might have suited you, but secondly made you look very weak, very foolish, and what you got back was information we'd already provided on this channel.
I know you're spot on, Bhoycie. I do think the timeline between us discussing it and then the shift in opinion was very close together. Take out of that what you will. I don't know if you're listening to the pod or anything like that, but I do think it was very convenient. And I do agree, especially I think the guy you mentioned, I think he'd be excellent at that. Know that it has to be him, but it has to be somebody who's speaking on behalf of the room rather than the room speaking on behalf of each other. Makes no sense. If you want, if you ever go to a staff meeting, there's 35 voices, Bhoycie, it just doesn't matter. It just doesn't, you take nothing out of it. You need somebody who's going to be speaking on behalf of everybody. And I think the board probably like the fact that there's a lot of kind of disconnect, even within the Celtic support, because they've all got, I just get their own opinion on what's important just now and what's going on just now and where it's falling off a cliff. So I don't, and then they've all got their own agendas too. We've spoken about that a million times. So I think we need to get that. And I actually think, Bhoycie, I'd see this sitting down with tea and biscuits. I want it to be finished, but I do think that the disconnect between the fans, we've not got a team that the fans are even like, we've got I've not saw a Celtic team in the fan base being disconnected for a good few years now. I think that's happened now, Bhoycie. I think it's a captain the fans don't like, and there's probably a good few players that Celtic fans don't like as well. And then we've also got the manager who's 50-50 even when he's winning doubles. So we need to, something has to happen. I think the board have got it in their gift to stem this, Bhoycie. Good, proper negotiations with the people that matter, Bhoycie. I don't think the stuff we saw on Sunday helped. I don't know if Celtic sat all week and prepped the set up for the match and got themselves in the dressing room. The minute the balls come on the park, Bhoycie, any idea of Celtic starting that game well were over. There was no momentum being built there straight away. Anytime I watch Celtic at Celtic Park, the biggest ammo that opposition teams go against Celtic, and we all say it, is that referee's going to allow the other team to time waste. There's going to be no momentum being built by Celtic because of the referee and by the players lying down, taking fucking a minute and a half to take a throw in. Celtic fans hate it. They hate that. They get booed every week for it at Celtic Park. So causing a 4-minute disruption at the start of the game, that will affect players. I don't care what anybody says. No, but in the same breath, the board's cost Celtic more points than a fans protest ever will. And also, I said this on Twitter the other day there, it's okay for you to back the collective and back sanctions and protests, but it's also okay for you to have an opinion on the protests and how they are carried out. You're still allowed to say, I'm backing it as a broad spectrum of what's going on, I'm backing the protests. Does that mean I have to be all thumbs up and liking every protest that you dish out? No, I'll have my say on that as well. I've not got the answers, but I'm allowed to have my opinion on said protests. I said before, Bhoycie, there's only one. If you've got a board who we all admit are money motivated, they don't like me, they don't like you, the only one thing you can do, Bhoycie, is don't give them money. And we've started that. Oh no, in fact, we didn't start that because we brought out a training range that sold out within about 14 seconds. All right, we didn't start that.
Go on about that, go expand on that.
Well, we brought out a Celtic training range, the special stuff, and it sold out. You can't buy any of it. Every single piece of it, for extra small to XXL, sold out instantly. Within minutes, you can't even buy it anymore. In fact, there's folks selling it on eBay for 3-4 times the price. Do you know that? Celtic brought this. Is it specials or something? I did the specials.
The special, yeah, the special range.
It was sold out that quick. There was jackets that were £200 getting sold for £800 online. That's how fast. I swear to God, you check your Twitter.
So the movement doesn't have then. This movement.
That was the same day. The same day it was announced, and I think they should have announced that. That should have been the very. That should be the very first sanction. Look, the club's about to see the 1st of September. They should have said the clubs roll out 3 strips, 45 different tracksuits just now. There'll be more, trust us. But what it is, as of today, don't buy a Celtic pools, don't buy a pie, don't buy a programme, don't go to the Celtic store, don't buy any merch. If your kids really need something, go to the Adidas store, don't go to JD Sports or Celtic. They could have did that instantly, but they decided a quiet 12 minutes, which is a lot of nonsense. I like the fact that we've got the ability to cause widespread protests, but as I say to you, I don't need to pretend to like them, Bhoycie. I think that protest was a bit shit. In fact, the board.
I think they were acutely aware of that, weren't they?
Aye, but Bhoycie,
I think they got offered the meeting and they went, do you know what? That's a perfect excuse just to stop the protest. That's how I see it anyway.
See the board, see we said to the board, you're going to be 5 weeks before a home game. The tension's going to build up. It's going to be like a tornado.
They've played it like
what would your best sanction be for them to be quiet? Celtic fans are like, no bother, we'll be quiet then. You know what I mean? It should have been pure vitriol, boys. I would actually peacefully and politely and legally stand at the front reception at Celtic Park at home and not let them in. 5,000-6,000 fans just not moving. Because I tell you something, that would get the polls involved. There would be media. There'd be all other news that the Celtic fans just wouldn't let them in the stadium. When they get in the stadium, they maybe had to turn their cars around and get him. That would get their attention. The money matters, boys. Yeah, peacefully, not illegal. Just
because I think we seen the opposite of that, didn't we? With the Union Bear thing with Russell.
That was horrible.
The bus, and they went from sort of like lying on the ground, like
just stop oil.
Like to then when they realised there was another way for the bus to get out, they were raging at themselves, and with that anger, I thought that I got a bit. That's too toxic, and I actually think it completely loses your argument. So you need to be very careful if you arrange that, because the amount of bodies it would take for that to be prevented can't be dispersed. It's a lot of minds that you're relying on to keep it cool.
Yeah.
And I know, but I think when I think of the ideology of it, I go, yeah, that works. And that's big. The board couldn't get in because there was that many fans there. But with every movement they make to try and get in, and with every extra fluorescent jacket you see getting involved, someone's temperature's just going up in their head. Someone's temperature's going up in their head, and someone's going to do something stupid.
Maybe that's a bad idea.
But I get it, though. No, but I think the visual, though, I'm actually all on board with. I struggle to trust 6,000 minds.
To be honest with you, neither do I, Bhoycie. Until you say
that,
I mean? I think if I went to try and organise it, I'd say, well, I don't trust these people not to fling a shark again. And the Rangers stuff is horrible and all. But I do think, just say that we've only got one. As a fan, you've only got one. I've always said that you've only got one ammo, and that is your money. That's if that's all they want after you. If it's purely transactional, fine. I will take my role of being a customer, and I won't give you it. That's fine. Now, I said before, the people on the board didn't apply for this job and just walked into a job. They're there to represent the shareholders, who will absolutely notice when the money starts to get slowly but surely trickled out the club. You know what I mean? They will call into question. So why is it worth £1.3 million during the last 3 months on sales? Oh, I see that guy. Oh, Michael, is it? They don't like him. Oh, really? Get rid of him. Is that you telling me that's all it is? Well, that and a couple of other guys. And the money will go back up again. Oh, aye. Right, let's get it sorted. Believe you me, that's how money works, boys. If you say to the same guys, they want you to change your philosophy and spend all your money, they would be like, no, I'll just stick to these dafties. But if you're saying, They just want change. They want these guys out of the club with a fresh approach, and it's costing them millions of pounds, Bhoycie. 100%, 100%. The people who are in the club. I mean, I actually noticed that Linsell Train sold nearly 1 million in shares last week. Yeah, have you noticed that?
No.
So that's the second biggest shareholder. They sold about 1 million
Yes.
shares nearly.
True. You know.
I don't know. What did I say to you about a month ago? If this is the only hope a mega change is if Linsell Train sell their shares.
Oh, they get snapped up though by the wrong people.
Well, I know the Celtic Trust are trying to get a resolution going where, and I think we're only 20 votes short at the other day there, where it's got to be put to the AGM that they want a vote on, was it a fan advisory thing or a vote on ousting somebody? It was something at the AGM. The Celtic Trust only need 20 votes to get a resolution be put in place in front of the full AGM. So I think they've got it. I can't remember what the exact thing they wanted.
Right.
I think it was a fan. I think it was a fan advisory board or something like that. So it's got to be put to the room basically to be voted on, which is pretty good.
Wow.
But I think the Celtic fans who go to these AGMs, I think some of them are dafties and all boys. I think they don't think like me and you. I think when Nico Nicholson comes out and says things like, "Oh no, all the fans are angry at us," I firmly believe there is a massive section of Celtic fans who think we're all entitled, we're all jealous, and we all can't handle defeat.
Of course there is, mate.
I mean, boys, I still go back to when we cared about put in Europe, and there's fans singing "Sack the Board." There's a guy who sits 2 or 3 seats down from me, and he's like, "What's this all about?" And I'm like, I can make the whole thing. I said, like, "How dare you?" Like, I mean, what say have you got these guys singing "Sack the Board"? When have they? It's not the time. I said, "When's the time?" And as the car park or Morrison's at
Right.
Waitrose, this is the time of day at a Celtic match.
What, when the most amount of fans are congregated at the one time, we're not going to take advantage of that and voice.
It's the only time where you can.
No, don't be ridiculous.
Boys, I think it's the only time when you can you can literally do it in a manner that's befitting. If I was walking down Tesco car park and I phoned 10 of my pals and said Blowell's there and we all attacked him with abuse, you could rightly say, "Oh, the guy probably didn't deserve that." But see, he's at the stadium, he's at his work. Aye. 100%. I don't go to the Asda manager's door at midnight and tell him that he's running out of chicken. I go and see him then and there at his work. You know what I mean? It's fucking stupid. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I do genuinely believe there's a massive section. And they think we're angry because we're not winning games. This anger started a long time ago, boys, when we were winning games. This has just got to a crescendo now where it's all just happened at one time where it's perfect.
Can I ask you your take on something I said in the opening sort of 9 minutes I ranted for, right? I said my one thing that's frustrating me the most, and we've went into total depth tonight, so we're not going back down that road on the manager's failings, which they are, in case anyone's wanting me to be more abundantly clear. Absolute failings this season. But I want your take on the downside to that, the equaliser to that, which does make me feel sick. I'm really sick from a personal point of view as Brendan. If I'm going to be accused of being a Brendan sycophant or a Brendan fan, and I accept all charges, right, of what I've been, but I'm also balanced in my view, and I'm the one who said tonight I think he should go. Right now, he should be removed. He is not getting a tune at the team. The stat that Patrick put up earlier, P. McLaughlin, I don't even know if your name's Patrick, I'm calling you Patrick now, because name of my cat, mate. P. McLaughlin put up earlier about the win rate, the 58 points or whatever it is from an possible 89. I think it was. Is a disgrace, but to the most embarrassed team. So we've done all that. But what I'm really wanting to know, Marc, is right now, yes, the board want 100% to be not second in the league, 5 points behind. A Hearts side that I know also just covering old ground here, but that you sort of completely kiboshed. Don't kibosh it. They're a different breed, mate, for what Aberdeen were. Aberdeen I never forget they had this big veteran playing in midfield, just kicked folk, and I thought they're not good. They did well at Celtic Park. I think they were 2-0 down, came back to 2-2. That gave me the fear. see by like the time you started sussing out, going, look at that guy. He was never going. This Hearts will go again in January under Tony Bloom, and everyone they sign is based on a database system of ratings. Apparently, Rangers only have like one, by the way, on said system that's like of note. Hearts have everyone of a serious level before they sign them. It's for all corners of the world. But the way the formula works, and I know this is modern football, we're trying to get away from earlier on, but don't just. I'm not as optimistic as you are that they fall away as quickly as what Aberdeen did. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make in the midst of all this is, does it frustrate the life out of you that, albeit we're not top, that is a smart, and the board will underestimate, by the way, what Hearts are doing as well. And there's, of course, the chances you also said that Rangers could come back. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is when Celtic board look at the current situation, the manager had one opportunity to really put the pie in their face. And that was, yes, they could then go, see, everyone was fine, but no one was going to buy it this time. The sack the board stuff had went so far that if Brendan succeeded in getting us miles clear at the top, or substantially clear at the top, shall we say, and doing decent things at Europa League level, this is where he would have earned his crust, he would have earned his coin, and be in the... Right now, the board are going, told you he was shite, see? And now watch them turn. And there is a bit of me, Mark, that really struggles with the fact that whilst I have to fucking slag off, no, not slag off, but I have to critique massively Brendan's performance so far this year. The thing that's getting me the most with it all, mate, is I just feel this plays into that board's hands so much. And I do feel there's a lot of them right now marvelling in the fact that he is doing so shite, which he is.
Oh, I think it does. It actually, if anything, takes some of the pressure off of the board at the same time as well, because there'll be folk that are wholly convinced that the focus is going to turn on the manager, and they'll love that, Bhoycie. See, when they start to hear songs about Rodgers or comments about Rodgers, they'll be like, right, somebody else is getting it. The best thing you can do when you're under pressure, Bhoycie, is pass on to somebody else. You know what I mean? And I think they'll love that. I totally agree. Like when I'm seeing
on a
this
personal
stuff,
level too, and that's the thing that gets me. There's a bit of
he's a rat.
I
They
just
call
you
him
can
rat.
feel it.
He's a rat, but Kieran Tierney and Ange Postecoglou were never rats. It's just strange how things. Anyway, even though Ange Postecoglou was talking to James Maddison at Valentine's Day when he was still at Celtic, but hey ho, we'll no discuss.
Not quite sure what's happening. Mark there, he seems to have, I don't know if he's turned his camera off or he's just got sick of my patter, but yeah, I mean, I think the most frustrating thing for me is when I look at the Peter Lowell reaction, for example, to when we got that late goal at Celtic Park, and he's the only one sitting out the group. He's the one that's really not giving two fucks, that Celtic have just managed to score a late winner. Mark, you're back in the room, mate. I think
my laptop died.
I thought something had happened like that. It's all right, mate. You just turned into a beautiful Bhoycie Bus logo, mate. That's all that happened, so it was all good. But yeah, just touching on your point, the points we're making about the board. I think one of the best examples, is that late goal a couple of weeks ago. And you see Lowell not even, his body. I'm not a body language expert, but naturally you jump up, even if you like to act in a certain way. The buzz of that moment when Maeda scores, you make a flinch, you make a move, and his was to sit with the heat down, and that tells me right now, if that's his reaction to success, he is the opposite side of that right now with our current demise, and he is enjoying watching Brendan sink. What's your take on that personal side of it, where it makes you feel sick, mate, to be honest with you? That's the added kicker for me. It's not that we back Brendan and he's failing. I think we've kind of covered that with the third season syndrome. The thought, though, of those bastards sitting there going, rubbing their hands, that fucking ucks me, Mark.
I actually think that they were actually raging that they scored that goal. You could see it in their faces that they would rather have one more bullet to fire in the direction of Brendan Rodgers than be happy that Celtic have won. And I think it's been personal with the Bowler and Rodgers for a long time now. I think it's quite obvious now. So I hate the fact that I hate the fact that there's that much a disconnect at the board of new hoping Celtic drop points to take the pressure off themselves, and not only that, but they're actually hoping that anybody else other than them takes the blame for the carry on that's going on behind the scenes, and they'll be loving it. They'll be loving the fact that he's now getting
There's a get it
comfortable
up
with
you
fans.
Brendan as well, eh?
Is
There's a
that?
get it up you Brendan vibe as well, I think.
Oh, I mean, boys, that photograph when Celtic scored that match, that was probably maybe within 2 or 3 seconds of Celtic scoring, and he's sitting there emotionless, looking at his phone, and you go. And by the way, I saw Lowell look at his phone more now. Than I didn't think the guy had a phone because he doesn't phone any agents, does he?
Very good.
No, it's true, but he's always on his phone. You know, the rest. I seen him a couple of weeks ago, and he was Celtic has scored. And he's texting now, and he's him and that Nicholson are trying to text Dermot Desmond first. You know what I mean?
I think the choreograph as well, see when they know the cameras on them,
that was choreographed.
they notice the camera panning, and then you wait for the red light to go on. I've been on Sky Sports before, you know. It was at a darts competition dressed as Austin Powers, right? But see the camera itself will put a light on to signify it's live. It's panned in. They know it's going, and they've all went, get on your phone. I would almost guarantee you that was choreographed because it's all on the phone at the same time. Show nothing and put the phone away in the pocket all at the same time because the camera's not going to stay on you longer than 10 seconds during a live match. That was choreographed, mate, undeniably. Not including Sky, by the way. I just mean Sky just put their camera on the board. It's a relevant topic, but they've clocked it coming over, and they've all get phones out. That is undeniable. What's happened there?
Well, I think I'm not entirely sure, but I think the one that normally goes to that stand is the one that's in the north stand and on the wee ledge. It just pans in. I think the one that's above the tunnel just stays facing the pitch. I don't know. I could be wrong.
However the camera works, they definitely know.
They know, but they also know that 100%. Plus, they've got TVs up that wee bit as well, so they can see the telly, can't they? Up there,
I think they know it. See if it's swiveled in their direction. That's when they've all went, right, 3, 2, 1, grab your phone. Because when the camera pans them, why would they all be...
I know, it's weird.
It's so annoying.
The other time I seen the two of them on their phone at the same time was when I think it was a Partick Thistle match. But I think they've got a PR company involved now, and I think they've said the best thing you can do is ignorance is bliss. Just pretend you don't see it. Just pretend you don't see what's happening in front of you. Look at your phones, look at your watch, look at anything at all. And that's what they did. You could see it was synchronised grinning at Celtic fans. You know what I mean? The arrogance they're showing. But even the meeting last month when there was like a pure lack of acknowledgement to what's going on. I mean, and I believe them. I firmly believe every word they say, basically the heart. They believe that we're all crazy and we're all just malcontents and the rest of it. So
Unreal.
Was that?
Unbelievable. Mark, before you go, I know we're pushed for time. We're running 20 minutes in, so I appreciate you staying on. Just a quick look to tomorrow, mate, to be honest with you. Alan Mott was saying he's a club, the club I'm a member of, the Rossshire CSC, has about 120 members, 70 plus season ticket holders. First time ever we have not got a bus at all going down to a European game.
Well done.
Mark, what are we anticipating the crowd tomorrow? I've heard 30 to 35,000.
Well, I looked on the ticket website. My brother sent a picture, and my seat still on sale. We were laughing at that, and there was a lot of blue sections. But when you clicked on the blue section, there wasn't millions of seats. But who's going to come out on a Thursday night for that pish Bhoycie? I can see folk going like that. Oh, do you want my ticket? I reckon you'll be lucky to get 40,000 tomorrow.
I think you're right. I think about 35 to 40.
See if I say to you, try to go the game tomorrow. I've got 3 or 4 sitting there. You can take your pals and they'll cost you a penny. I don't think you could even get rid of them. I think I don't think you could tap on neighbour door, say, do you want in for the range, and say, oh, aye. Who wanted to get in at midnight after watching your Europa League against? Who is it we're playing against? Who is it we're playing? I don't even know.
Sturmgratz, Austrian side.
There you go. I've seen them play before at Celtic Park.
How do you see it going tomorrow?
I know get beat.
Can I give you one wee insight to why I'm hoping, when we were talking about the football change earlier, do you not notice two up top? I don't know how many years we've asked for that on the. Albeit there's the other bit of me that goes, we still didn't score, so I'll just go, see all that nonsense, it doesn't work. I'm hoping he's not going to be that pig ignorant. But I think if that's a hint of future changes, that gives him a fighting chance. Sturmgratz at home is a game that Celtic have to win at this level. It's as simple as that. These are games that you should be, yes, not taken for granted, yes, be difficult, but we should be looking to win. If he's got a hunch that his best chance of doing that might be with Iniacho playing off of Johnny Kenny, or vice versa, Johnny Kenny playing off of Iniacho, and they can dovetail as much as they want as far as I'm concerned. They fucking try something different. It puts some more pressure on those midfielders who are so comfortable horseshoeing it, so comfortable going, well, I got 800 passes completed. How many did you? 6 yards to your left, 6 yards to your right, count for fuck all. It's time to start being under the coach. That's why when we look back at football, Mark, Roy Keane, for example, was such a brilliant midfielder. Playing in 4-4-2, mate. So these balls that are simple balls, he didn't have 100 folk round him where he was just like, basically playing triangle passes with. He, in terms of his own teammates, he was in a 4, mate, against these sides. You don't even see midfield. All these midfielders that are meant to be unbelievable these days, they've got such a comfort zone when there's only one up top because they've got that extra cushion in midfield. I think we need to put more pressure on them. I know that could probably give you the fear, but I think it has to be stop playing safe. It might actually up the intensity of your passing. It might make it more forward-looking, and it gives you option to go long if there's two up top as well. Thoughts?
I totally agree, boys. I totally agree. I think sometimes as football managers, when they get poor results, they start to go within themselves, boys, and they're scared to make too many changes and scared to shake up a bit when they should be doing the opposite, in my opinion. They should be trying to do something different, you know what I mean? And I would like to see Celtic go through. I've always been one that liked. Lennon was doing it. Lennon was doing Edward and Griffiths.
When he did that, those 5 months, that was
before COVID hit. But
yes.
But then you look at a home game tomorrow, boys. I don't think we've scored a home goal in Europe either. We've scored one goal in Europe, but what's that, 5-6 matches, whatever it is. We've not scored at home
4.
yet. 4 matches.
It's poor though, mate. It is poor.
And it's like, I don't see how the goals coming at all, mate. I think you'd be a mug to get yourself out of the house tomorrow night in that weather to go and boys, I've been to watch like Hacken Hamilton Hackies on a Wednesday night and all the rest of it, and I've trudged myself in the fucking -10 degrees at Celtic Park and just sat there and says, you know what, I could be worse places than watching my team. I feel apathetic now towards it. See with 5 minutes to go the other day, boys. I was just sitting, and Alana texted me saying, "Have you turned it off?" I went, "Alana, I've not even turned it off yet. I'm not even that angry to turn it off yet. I'm just sitting there
watching." That's a great point.
And, see when you get apathetic, boys. It happened to me during the COVID season. I think that's worse than getting angry. You're only angry about things you care about, boys. And I think if you could offer the Celtic fans and Rangers fans at the end of the season, the more they would do it.
Yeah, so
just call it quits. Hearts a COVID title, just let them celebrate in their houses or whatever. I just don't. I'm saying get to January, boys, but I have got literally 0% of faith in my body that come January, Celtic board are going to go like that. Because I've said before,
we always address our problems in January, Mark. What are you talking about?
Listen, it's going to get worse because I think in mid-November, mid-December, there's going to be supposedly our best players to Nicky and Nacho, etc. They're going to be away in international duty. So see if we've not got a striker. I said before, we've not got a striker at Celtic Park in a hotel in late December, just waiting to step onto the pitch on January 1st at Lennoxtown. and get ready for the game on the 3rd. If we go into that without a striker, just shows you this club has learned nothing. Absolutely nothing. If there's not a striker who's already signed, but it's not signed, but can't be signed yet, if it's done, and he would fly here Christmas week after
We
he
see our
finishes Champions
January
League.
first signings like we did Angie's first season. No, I get you, mate. I agree with you big
And
time.
if you don't see a striker, or at least players brought in before the match on the 4th of January, then you will know that there's not been one single lesson learned by the Celtic board in
Correct.
terms of timing, in terms of getting the players in early. Although they did say we did get players in early, we got Kieran Tierney in, who was signed who would rather come in the January, came fucking 6 months later, and Negrin, who must have been that much in a hurry to get his Celtic part before they found him out, that he came in the first drop of a hat. So we don't do it. So I'm digressing, but I'm just saying that I just don't see anything in a Celtic team to give me excitement. I don't see anything in a Celtic team that causes me to see a bright spark in the team igniting that fire within me again. And that's what Bhoycie, I don't see the oomph for the Celtic fan base either. You'd even get, I mean, I talked about last night that there's a second ballot for that cup semi-final. Bhoycie, I wouldn't even go to that game if you gave my ticket for nothing. See that game against Rangers? I wouldn't go there because I am as sure as night after day. There's got to be a wake up call for the Celtic fan base like no other that day, because there was folk laughing online, laughing emojis when Celtic drew Rangers in that cup match, and that was the Celtic fans laughing at all of us for coming off the home cup scheme, laughing at the fact that the board's going to get the last laugh on Celtic fans, and it was vulgar. It turned my stomach to see Celtic fans gloating and glorifying the fact that the board's going to get the last laugh. I'm talking about Celtic fans who I see on Twitter all the time. I just put them on mute, most of them. A couple of daft fucking idiots, you know what I mean? But, you know what I mean? And I thought, you're happy the Celtic board's going to get one of the fans? And I said at the time, I went, you're going to have the best view in the house. It's going to be 4K, ultra high definition. You're going to have the best view in the house. When they post, trap you in that stadium for a few minutes while the Huns celebrate with their fans and get to a cup final, and you're going to
He's
be
not
sitting there
wrong.
watching every second of it. I can turn that off. I can have another can of lager, another bottle of vodka, and enjoy myself. So you're going to be sitting there trudging up the road. And I thought, that's the day. That'll probably be the only day in my life I can laugh at some Celtic fans after Celtic getting beat after Rangers.
Wow.
That's how I feel. That's
Wow.
genuinely how I feel, boys. I
No,
genuinely
I
don't.
believe you.
I don't see a scenario where this season ends well for Celtic. I just can't see a situation. I just can't see it. Rangers' biggest problem was the manager holding them back, and the fans were so vitriol against that. They've almost took 3/4 of the cloud that was hanging over Ibrox. They took it away, Bhoycie, because it's the new messiahs, and he'll take a few weeks to be good or bad. Who knows how it's going to work out? We are in the depth of our storm. Our storm is well and truly in
It's
the eye of it.
raging as we speak.
And you know something? It's getting worse week in, week out, because not only is the performances getting worse and worse, the things that's making the performances, which is the situation, it's getting more nastier and nastier, and it's getting more, it's getting more like head up every single time. Every match day, there's even arguments about how we should protest. There's even arguments within the collective, I think, about how we go ahead here, and you've got a section of the fan base that are against any protests, and you've got a section of the fan base that are probably going to be that far anti-protest that they're going to be on the board side. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh,
I
I
don't know,
agree.
boys.
And the
I don't
manager's
know.
pushing folk to the board side as well. There's no two
Boys,
ways. The whole thing's a mess. The whole
you
thing
write
is
a
a
book,
mess.
boys. If you wrote a book, boys,
I've not
or
enough
anything at all,
crayons, mate.
and also you couldn't write a book. You couldn't write a chapter in your book that is as bad as this and it ending
A
well.
twist in the tail
Aye.
as well, considering where we were, going into the cup final. I know the obviously dip before that, but let's just say before the league split last year.
Aye.
What's the problem here? Like, what's the problem? What's the problem though? Like, I don't understand. But listen, we find ourselves where we are. we have our fingers crossed for tomorrow. We're going to get a positive result because it's Europe, and for me, we need it. But again, we do go in with great hope and great expectation. A big thanks.
I hope I'm
wrong.
wrong.
I know, mate. I know.
I hope I'm wrong. I'm not going to bother even putting it on.
We'll say, let's get out of here. A big shout out to everyone who's watched. It's been a very busy show. Thanks for all the comments. We know we can't get through them all. And yes, I will catch you all probably tomorrow night after the game. Why not? See you later.